Our next presenter has founded 5 charities for children who are seriously ill, homeless, or in foster care. His 25 films include Arlington Road, Wild, Tom and Viv, and Revenge of the Nerds, of course. Presenting the award to Justin Piasecki is Peter Samuelson.
We first meet our young chef at the top of his game. He's 24 years old, and he is the executive chef of the White House. But this White House is not an Aaron Sorkin kind of a White House. It's more House of Cards. It's more the president as Macbeth, and then there's Lady Macbeth, and there are the little Macbeths. It's not a good place. The president of the French Republic comes on an official state visit, and there is to be a banquet. And the French president requests a rare and very special recipe of haute cuisine, which is the ortolan, the songbird. But the recipe requires that the bird be tortured, all of them be tortured, because it's a banquet, and you eat these birds, which are tiny, you eat them whole. And they must be tortured by being blinded and then drowned slowly in Armagnac. And our young chef is disgusted, and he won't do it. And they fire him. They fire him, and we next meet him as the cook in charge of 3 meals a day for 200 inmates, convicts in a penitentiary in North Carolina, and amongst them a dozen or so men who have been condemned to death. But before each of these men die, they get their last meal. And because he is the chef, each of these meals is a statement of civilization and of beauty in the face of bureaucratically imposed death. Duck confit, charcuterie in a Madeira wine reduction with foie gras. And of course, our chef becomes a little bit famous because it's in the newspaper. It's on the 11 o'clock news. The anchors can't even pronounce it. And then the world turns. And this becomes, it was already an extraordinary script, but the third act is one of the most remarkable pieces of writing that I've ever read, because our hero comes to believe that one of the condemned men is actually innocent, and it does not sit well with him. And this ordinary man, faced with an extraordinary moral challenge, now joins a long line of heroes in motion pictures who must stand up. Frank Capra would be proud of this script. This Mr. Smith doesn't go to Washington, he goes to the state capitol, but he speaks truth to power to the governor. You, sir, are entitled to your opinion, but you are not entitled to your own truth. There is one truth, and by the way, human decency, honor, and integrity, those are things. And it is an extraordinary achievement in showing to the world through a motion picture what we can do at our best, that individual citizenship is at the core of what makes our democracy work. And so today, November the 3rd, 2016, the Academy is happy, and I am delighted to present this Nicholl Fellowship in Screenwriting to Justin Piasecki, who, like his citizen chef, the hero, and like the songbird, soared to the sky, lifted his face to the sun, and sang of beauty and truth and honor and citizenship and bravery. May God bless this gifted writer and his golden pen. May God bless this academy that does so much good work. May God bless this democracy, this constitutional democracy which stands between us and tyranny. May God bless these united, repeat, united, may God bless our United States of America. Justin, come up here, get your Nicholl.
Well, I had it together, and then Peter came up. I'm a little old-fashioned, and when I asked my father-in-law for his blessing to marry his daughter, I pled my case by explaining I was gainfully employed, and I had a 401k, and I had dental insurance, and all my shots were up to date, and I had my own Netflix password, not my parents'. So the credentials of a responsible young man, and he said yes. And immediately after, I quit my job and I forced my wife to quit hers and moved us to California to become a screenwriter. So sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Coughlin, but seriously, it's too late. The paperwork is already signed. I think evolving expectations is a big part of being a writer. You have to somehow convince an industry of father-in-laws you know what you're doing. So sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Nicholl, but too late, the paperwork has already been signed. You also have to convince yourself you know what you're doing. And I didn't always know. I still don't always know. I'm forgetting and I'm unsure all the time. But then moments like this come along, and they offer a little bit of hope that you're not entirely unworthy of that blessing. And moments like this would not be possible without many, many other people, so I just want to recognize how fortunate I am to know them. To Mr. and Mrs. Nicholl, and now Greg and Joan and Emily and the committee that has carried this fellowship on. To the other writers being recognized tonight, it was immediately apparent how talented you all are. The performers and producers for this evening, you are the first to make a very personal piece of imagination tangible, so thank you. All my friends in Iowa and circling back to New York, Tish West, and anyone who's ever been willing to read my pages, my reps, John and Jeff, thank you. My family, my dad for ignoring what rated R meant, and my mom, tonight was all so much her fault, starting with those big white Disney VHS cases that can double as flotation devices, and my sister, who's a brutal copy editor. And to my wife, who, when we made that move to Los Angeles, knew to not bother with wallpaper or painting the walls because it's just going to get covered with story Post-it notes and dry erase marker anyway. She never complained. Instead, I came home one day and saw that she'd just gone out and bought me all the markers. Thank you.